Hello, Hartford Hospital increasingly has roles with intercampuses families and people with overt criminal enterprises that have been planting evidences on all sides of my street, including uses of their religious spots and people associated with all sides of it and next to parks, for example, relative to remote uses of them showing needs to cover up lie progressions per stacking predicate acts with facts in each of the campuses I went to. Fake ties and fake natures of ties. The leaders of the campuses I went to recorded capacity demonstrated confirmed this. They do little instances and ask people about them at the principal's office. And then they go back and they let people go and they put fake things in databases, for example, is one of the many things they do. Increasingly, there is a Paul Zano. I don't I never had a conversation with him. He used to be influenced to pretend he know me since I was a kid, make fake exceptions as roles with sequence shifts, interstates. He has roles with Johnson and Wales, with a Ray Cololo and a Jonathan Mayano and a Larry, or I forgot his name. Forgot his name, but he's one of the ones associated with the World Trade Center attack as our side's roles. And they have roles with the campuses. He has family members that work with Rocky Hill campuses, Weathersfield campuses, New Britain campuses, Newington campuses, Hartford campuses, West Hartford campuses. Now, it is important that we get them on paper, one name and sequence, because they have judges and prosecutors and their family members. There are a whole bunch of judges, family members involved with locations along and conjunctive to Two Rod Highway and Hangdog Lane, who have roles of people with predicate acts on my street from other areas. In the same house involved with wire crimes of the Weathersfield police and their confessions, and a whole bunch of different countries involved. There are proofs that they have little kids take oaths and they have uses of them criminally foreign influenced and not and communicating other to them than is said because they're maintaining them used criminally foreign influenced. Increasingly, people tied to a former mayor Gold, like a Joseph Dennis, sought me out as a stranger, and his neighbors, people associated with him in New Britain too. All kinds of drugs and medicines crimes with kids, with judges and prosecutors and the doctors, foreign and domestic, and people involved with Millwoods Park, who have been planting evidences with a former mayor Gold on all sides of it too, and with overt criminal enterprises and private one and police that are switching and forging names with the courts. These are also people with the religious spots and the word Jew involved, where they call in, involved also where they have attacks against people where they use the differences of the religious spots and their roles with it as groups and lying about their motivations for what they think about other people as roles of identity theft, fraud, slander. Increasingly, it's their roles with all kind of rackets with intelligence next to Fox Connecticut News and names associated with them, like the name Pandolf, like the name Mulcahy. I never had a conversation with them. And their neighbors involved with Maria Vizino and Weathersfield Pizza, with a Steven Stocco or a Maria Stocco. I don't know if they're married or what, but a Steven Stocco has wire crimes with them with CCSU intelligence and federal intelligence, and with the state judicial branch office and Weathersfield police. A Steven Stocco faked conversations with me and faked motivations for it. Weathersfield police called and they were forging, switching names with them, and with the judges and prosecutors who are personally involved with overt criminal enterprises and abuses of kids, with more proven leaders of kids, sexual and medical and legal against them. So this including a Paul Zano and a Ray Cololo have federal evidences crimes with this and wire crimes, also with a Mark Violet and others with Hartford Hospital and the names next to it, like at the Morris Market through the years and Ilo's Kitchen and there's a Maiano family, a Jonathan Maiano, and their neighbors involved with them, with overt criminal enterprises and private ones, and their educators involved with identity thefts, fraud, slanders, fake ties to people, fake natures of ties to people, fake exceptions, and some of the people completely, I don't know, them like a Joshua Julian, involved with his neighbors also with medical and sexual offenders of kids, also black KKK themed and Latino themed, as the people involved with some Mendez brothers next to Fox Connecticut News, and at the Wethersfield Police Department, involved with wire crimes, also with the houses involved, and their educators also with predicate acts, identity theft, fraud, slanders, falsified police reports, make conversations with me as police too. And since they were kids, there were roles of people doing this with timed collusions with some black KKK themed military, timed collusions with the foreign. A whole bunch of people mixed with Koreans have been planting evidences with them, and their roles with Taekwondo places, intercities, and with this DeMoro family and people associated with the Mike Roberts, and their pictures. Some kid that said they said that his Taekwondo teacher called him a monster. I don't even know his name. They know his mine. So these are people with foreign and domestic speaking about things like crimes together, roles of predicate acts with facts, and criminally foreign influence, tactically illusions wrought. And they're speaking about things like education, certain type of victim / hyper victim. Forgiveness is not to leave out the even worse breaching methods roles with them, and their difference explained here and there. All kinds of, there's a Judge Killian who spoke fake things in records and delusions that are evidences, but there are ones before him, and there are doctors forging and switching names, also ones with badges, and fake conversations with me that weren't at all, like two ones with the name Brendan Leahy, and women in their family involved with sexual and medical offenders of other kids that are sustained between the campuses too, identity theft, fraud, slanders. A Rick Sam Faglione recorded, confessed, demonstrated, confirmed, involved with federal evidences crimes at corners of streets, and at a corner of a street near one of the proven principal child abusers campuses, with the Leahy family involved with his syntax and roles with identity theft, fraud, slanders, federal evidences crimes with judges and prosecutors. Brian Silver and Brendan Leahy are one of the ones involved. And that was the confessions of Rick Sampaglione, were also confirmations of confessions and demonstrations of Wethersfield police and a Timothy O'Brien and a Ray Colo involved with falsified police reports with them, and with overt criminal enterprises, private ones, and their educators, and their roles with military, and putting salt on a lawn of one of the Jewish families involved with one of my algebra teachers involved with criminally foreign influence uses of the kids' roles. There's a nurses involved, and the security families of the schools has something to do with their roles on off Town Line Drive, with Mike Pandolf, with people associated with the name Tomorrow. I never saw Tomorrow there, but one of the people, these are people that have been planting evidences at boxing gyms, and with the neighbors of Johnny Duke, and people that one girl said that he refers to her as his daughter, and he's got roles with intelligence people with them. One of them was influenced to use the word bait and switch. They have federal evidences crimes with judges and prosecutors and sequence shifts before the World Trade Center attack, in that context and since. The people on the sides of Central Connecticut State University, these are also people with Gail King involved with Gary Sasso and his neighbors, and time use / us of that role, and people associated all along Route 175 and conjunctions to it as homes and businesses involved with federal evidences crimes, Wethersfield police through time, and wire crime acts and methods with them, and refusing to identify themselves properly as their roles, time collusions with overt criminal enterprises too. Increasingly, there are probate court judges tied to people with the name Spada and Della Fera, and they have brothers, I don't even know their names, And the ones I know, the only context I know of them, and they were recorded with federal evidence is crimes. And they have some kid, I don't know his name, but he knows not mine. I believe it's one of their brothers, along Route 3. I pulled in a parking lot one day, and I saw, in other words, because there's a number of ways that place was brought up. And he was like cleaning up, looked like he was cleaning up as one of the workers there. And someone was talking to him. And I heard from the parking lot, he said, at one time he said, one time I had to read the riot act. These guys have been planting identity theft, fraud, slanders roles. Has something to do with their roles on off Town Line Drive and conjunctions to it and Southsea Highway. In other words, conjunction. These are people along Route 3, which is conjuncted. One of the conjunctions to it is the state judicial branch offices, increasingly involved with people at other locations. Like there's a guy with a red pickup truck who is one of the ones involved with federal evidence crimes of various natures of predicate acts, like with people with the name Faenza involved with the intelligence community with mayors, intercities, and intelligence community with Cromwell, has something to do with the roles with people with the name Neville and DeMorrow and Hanson, and their educators at Central Connecticut State University had roles with intelligence community and military at my grammar school, who connected people from the school I went to for before that and after, and people next to it with identity theft, fraud, slanders. And Whiting Forensics has been planting evidences, identity thefts and frauds with them. When I caught them forcing a principal child abuser, and they arrested me for harassment for calling back after they put a whole bunch of different messages and switched names and sequences, and then presented fabricated and changed digital evidences to the news, which also themselves too have rules attaching me to fake conversations with themselves and with others, not just with the police. They did all kinds of natures of collusions distinct natures of organized crime at the same time. That's why it's so overt with the rape threats and the court's roles with the social media. The social media of the Brit Superior Court and of the principal child abusers and proven upskirt nature picture. He has roles more with that on Twitter with the FBI, and he has recorded roles with former director of the FBI Robert Lusk and his co-defendants, with my fifth grade teacher and Mr. Pruzzi, with kids before I was in fifth grade and after I was in fifth grade, increasingly involved with federal evidence crimes with Mr. Pruzzi's name brought up, also at Central Connecticut State University before the World Trade Center attack. Dean Judd had roles with a former director of the FBI, Robert Luskin, and his co-defendants and their lawyer, and as roles with West Hartford locations with federal evidences crimes together, predicate acts together, identity theft frauds together, with foreign and domestic military too. And these are roles with deans of kids at other campuses, involved with the family of a Kuwaiti general, a Dean Keys, who's also involved with the Saudis that they forced to collusions with them, and with the people involved with Gail King, involved with WFSB predicate acts, and social media corruption, and their rules with the campuses, and pretending it only about weather. They should fear God. They have a Dr. Laura Saunders they know to an extent is involved with them with predicate acts, child abuses, identity theft, fraud, slanders, crimes against middle-aged and elderly and veterans too, with the same families at the same time, had roles with murders and untimely deaths. These are also police that faked conversations with me as a kid and now as an adult, and they did it with the news too. So they can't be trusted, so I have to communicate on here. And Judge Napolitano's not following mandated law with them. So the Brit Superior Court switched names. They have one with the name Courtney that switched names. And then how do you forget your name? Oh, man, and she corrected herself. But no, there was a nature forced with that as criminal insidiousness. And there were confessions regarding the switching names of the arresting officers with ones that weren't even there. There's a Detective Samuda involved with the federal crimes and with the social media into when the East Hartford police forms, male and female involved. They're implying that stripper place and the girls associated with it next to Central Connecticut State University, and one associated with, and the Chris Walters also has next to Hartford Hospital roles with a girl that he said he had a form of sexual relations in the back of my car. As a kid who barely knew me, who was planting evidences with my neighbors and with a whole bunch of people tied to him at each of the campuses next to them, planting evidences. And I barely know him. I only know him as a stranger seeking me out to make fake exceptions. All real exceptions they used criminally foreign influence has something to do with his conversations within investigators, and people at Old Town Cafe in Old Weathersfield, and their rules with names in Weathersfield, like Cololo, and involved with all along Route 175. They recorded, confessed, demonstrated, confirmed they have federal evidence of crimes with and other natures of organized crime roles with a Chandler family, a Daryl Chandler, and people at Trinity College associated with a Joshua Stryker, and Eric Oliveri, and Eric Oliveri, and people with the name Joe Aiello has rules with spots next to Trinity College, businesses and homes, and a fire department involved with predicate acts with them, and planting predicate acts on and off the campuses and between campuses, also with his educators and his daughters, his sister's educators. His father is also involved with communications racketeering, worse than war crimes, criminally foreign influence, tactically delusions wrought here and in Italy. These are people next to Hartford Hospital involved with drugs and medicines crimes with kids and with mayors. Dear God, get them off the news too. Get them on paper, one name and sequence. Get me off the fake conversations with WFSB. Get them on paper. Get the colleagues of these people involved with Institute of Living has a whole bunch of people with WFSB involved also with WTNH at corners of streets with federal evidences, crimes of all kinds of natures, and collusions with that. It has something to do with the roles of Paul Kelly's neighbors too. Increasingly, people tied to this Ray Cololo and the judges tied to him, like with this name Delafera and Spada, planting evidences. There are people at the corner of I don't know if they changed the street, Knott Street and Walker Hill. That has something to do. They made a fake exception of being in the same place at the same time with them. We had no words. It was like a weird thing. That's one of the ways I know, because I never tried to contact these people. In other words. And Ray Cololo kept repeating the question if I slept with her one time. And he knows I wasn't trying to imply that I did. In other words, or I don't know which sister he was talking about. In other words, but these people are increasingly involved with them with on-off timeline drive planting evidences, and their educators involved with it. So fear God, get on paper, please. Judge Napolitano, do what's right. Get them on paper, one name and sequence. I shouldn't have to beg you all this time too. You have to lie about all these things more and more.